what's going on, guys? It's your boy MC Far coming at you again with another live fireside trading session. We are back from Atlanta. I got a little tan line to prove it down there in hot Atlanta, and really enjoyed it. So the market's about to open here. Let's dive right in. As you know, guys, we are still on our system. We're going to continue trading it and kind of until the wheels fall off. We have Qualcomm lined up here. Shout out to him. You also got JP stepping in. There is some volume on JP stepping in as the market opens. It's got blue. We'll see if we can get a trigger on JP for a blue. We'll be looking to take JP at the open for sure if we can get some kind of a trigger there, which I believe will come relatively quickly. So yeah, shout out to JP there. We'll go ahead and queue it up. There's a first indication. What else we got? We got the queues, but let me get to JP here. Charge JPM. There he is. Let me get it out of the way. Get out of the way, please. Trade. So JP, very nice. Starting out the day, very nice. We'll go ahead and sell. We'll be selling calls here or selling puts here. So we'll be doing selling puts here. So we'll come to the sell side. So at the money puts, and buy those back. Very nice. We'll run it at market. Waiting for that candle to close and it to continue pushing higher for that candle on JP. And with it being way higher volume than normal, I would anticipate that there is going to be a considerable push. But we're going to follow the system as laid out. We've got the order queued up. We're just waiting for that candle to close and to push higher. This could just be set up for the opening range and then potentially a pullback. So we want some sort of follow through here. So there's a close. There's a fire. Break higher. We'll fire and send. And we're locked in. Cool. So as it stands right now, very nice opening range, great volume for the JP. We are in that for sure. We'll put that here. There's your pivot low. See if we can open this up a little bit. It's essentially saying, hey, hold this puppy to the rest of the day with this much volume. It's definitely over 1.3. So the way it works for those who are not tracking the system, blue is the longer time frame, and then if there's a shorter time frame trigger on the, let's say, the 2 minutes, this will show you an indication or arrow up or down. But more importantly, once those two happen, what you'll see is we put a indicator on by shout out to Leviathan for relative volume. That relative volume is saying, hey, is there more buyers than an average stepping in here and taking this out? Is there more volume? I would say we don't know if they're buyers or sellers, but we do know, is there more volume more than average? What you don't want to do is buy a thing and then there not be anyone to follow on that play. So this just could be a rally / sell off, but as you can see here, it did follow on, break high there. So it did trigger us to get in, but we'll see if that continues, right? There is on this 2 minute candle, sellers are stepping in, but we'll see if it just becomes a bull flag and it takes off. That's kind of what our hope is here for JP. If you go look at, let's see, not to get rid of me. if we go look at JP on a weekly, from a weekly perspective, we say JP is approaching highs, all-time highs at 210 and 38 cents. Because of that, it's in a really relatively strong uptrend. So, and with room to grow, right? Relatively kind of peaked out of the 8-period moving average, and has a lot more room to grow. If you look down here, uh, steady dividend growth, and so far the earnings have been also pretty consistent in the fours and threes. So, really excited to see this trade work out. We'll see. But with it having the volume there, stop getting rid of me. Uh, with it having the volume there, we're hoping that it has a continue. And remember, we are selling puts, so this is still a bullish position, but it's bullish in the sense that we profit with theta decay as well as if the position moves in our favor. I much rather do positions like that when just kind of steadily growing our account, because you might not have necessarily the increased volatility to slowly grow your account. We're not being super aggressive. We're just trying to get base hits, trying to get on base, and get familiar with the system, but setting up our account to where we don't have to necessarily worry about it trading sideways and getting a lot of theta decay is good. So shout out to us there. In financial news, though, let's see if we got some financial news. Here we go. Okay, so we'll go ahead and pull up our bar charts for you. Hopefully we can put both of them on the screen at the same time. Yep, there we go. So as you can see, right, the green, which is comm services, definitely pulling away there. So shouts out to comm services, also info and tech at all-time highs as well. The market is also ticking up, but if you notice, there is some sectors that aren't on the way up. And if you notice, we'll go full screen here. Some of these, we'll get rid of a lot of these so you could see it. I want to get rid of the financials, comm services, real estate, staples. I'm trying to isolate the ones that are not necessarily on the uptick here, right? So here we go, right there, that orange guy. I believe that's energy. Yeah. So energy as well as industrials, right? I'll get rid of some of the purples here. Energies and industrials. So something to think about: if the rest of the market is upticking, and these couple of sectors are seeing strength necessarily to the downside, or not necessarily riding that wave higher, that could be a good place to investigate. Hey, what is going on? Is there news around there? We're looking at downsides in those areas? Is the fundamental economy slowing down? Like, what is the reason for that, right? And so I like this chart because it gives you an indication day in, day out what's going on and what sectors are we rotating into and out of, right? On our Forex calendar, refresh this puppy. On our Forex calendar for the week, Fed Chair Powell speaks tomorrow, and then Fed Chair Powell testifies on Wednesday. So that's gonna have definitely an impact in the market. Now what you're gonna notice too, as we go to we're gonna take a peek at our let's see here. Oops. We're going to take a peek at the CME Fed Watch tool. Nice. um, and see what's going on. So just so you're tracking, on the 31st of July, they're going to be meeting about this Fed fund rate and its target. In July, towards the end, there's almost going to be a certain for a certain thing that it will stay the same. Now in September though, this has grown, right? So you see, I think last time I looked at it was like in the 60s that it would lower. Well, now it's 75. That it will lower from five and a quarter, to five and a half, and lower down to five and a quarter. So that is only bullish news necessarily for the market. That's really good. And some people are saying it's a little overdue, like it's late. But the Fed was very clear that, hey, we need to ratchet up rates so that we could slow inflation. It is a deflationary period, but you need to be prepared for that. And they kind of let companies know to be prepared for that. So shouts out to them. Shouts out to them for the heads up to everybody. And, and if you took them at their word, they almost were basically telling you to kind of downsize or look for the market to the cost of getting money is going to be more expensive, and that's going to put a strain on companies. So it's just something to think about. Our trade here is actually kind of came out the gates really strong, and then slowly grinded higher. But we'll keep watching that puppy. I think I haven't seen anything else fire off except for Meta. Meta has fired off to the downside, but remember, we are using the system, so if Meta firing off to the downside, cool. But the longer term overriding trend is bullish. So we're looking for, if there's some news on Meta, we're looking for a potential change in this long term trend, or we're looking for a buy signal for Meta. Now with this sell off, it's pretty insane. And actually, we'll take a peek over here to the lab and show you what we're talking about. So on the weeklies, right, you notice that market open, it started up here and it's since pulled back so far to this weekly level. This could be a potential for a nice bounce. It's retesting highs, previous pivot highs on a weekly chart. It's tested this, relatively tested this multiple times. So this pullback is warranted. It could be juicy for a credit spread necessarily to the upside. The Qs, feeling that shock, have since pulled down, but because the Qs have other weightings, I wouldn't say that it's gonna drag it to the abyss with Meta there. I just think that Meta's there's some news that came out on Meta, and because of that, there's been a very steep and aggressive sell off in Meta. So there continues to be a sell off. If it continues, I would assume that there's going to be a change in the weekly in that regards. So yeah, it's just straight down. It's crazy. Let's see what how the XLC reacts. Yeah, the XLC is obviously gonna feel that bite too. So increased volume, increased selling off. So shout out to Meta. But if there's support, if we get some support here at the bottom, there could be an opportunity to take a buy if there's a juicy trigger there for that. So the Qs, somebody's stepping in and taking this buy on the Qs here. There it is. Look at that. So volume, as you can see, like I'm really liking the candles as they color in. You see that increased volume stepped in at this level, and as it continues to break, the increased volume step in, increased volume step in. So there's higher than normal volume stepping in, which means that this buy is supported with volume, and people are getting paid for their efforts, right? So as more sellers get off sides, that could mean this kind of continues. to the upside. Whatever bad news is in Meta, as sellers really step in here and really take this play to the downside, there could be an opportunity for a pivot buy. It'd be a little aggressive. Um, I believe it would be a little aggressive, but it's definitely there, and we can hop over and see that on the 2 minute chart over here. Just massive selling off of Meta, increased volume all the way through, like all the way through the sell, and then increased volume on the buy. So these guys, this candle currently is off sides right now. That doesn't mean that it will stay off sides. In fact, with whatever bad news, if there is bad news, then I'm anticipating this thing following through, and especially if it breaks your 529.47 level, that could bode to be a problem for Meta because it'll be in the rotational zone. So the lower rotational zone, it breaks, retests this level, and sells off. That could be an issue for Meta. We'll go to the 10 minute so we can see that there, right? So as it sells off, if it breaks, retests, it could be something like this, where you could see test down to 484, right? For Meta. So not bad at all. Yeah, JP Morgan straight out the gate kind of went on a buy and just gone sideways. That's really the reason why we sell puts instead of buying calls, is because we want that if this happens, we can stay in the trade for longer and not just get emotional and seeing our P&L slowly drop or be stagnant. That's a good thing. So yeah, so far so good. Really liking the system. Really liking how we've set up our plays, and it only bodes well for us. Let's see what we got on the board on the other side of things. I'll let you guys see what I'm seeing here, but yeah, as you can see, things just going the opposite direction as of right now. So there was a buy trigger on the Qs here that I missed. It was like it's off screen or whatever. So we'll see if we get a sell trigger there, or if there's really buyers stepping in here. What we could do is, it's still within the realm of tolerance for the Qs. We'll go ahead and we'll put on a credit spread if it stays in that area. If it doesn't, then we'll just let it go here. Let's go. Oh, and we can put on one for the day too. So that's the cool thing about the Qs. I do like trading the Qs. We'll sell and the money a little bit, and then buy one back. We'll go market. Cool. All right, so with this candle and the follow-on candle, we went on and took that trade a little late, but I'd rather be in this trade as well, because this is a trade that expires on the day. So if a pullback and you get a trigger on it, cool. If not, we'll know relatively quickly if it'll work out or not. Cool. Trying to get it perfect there. So again, same thing, selling puts, and then you got your pivot low right there. So if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, then we're just late and wrong. We'll put a green arrow. We'll put our arrows on this side as well, just so we are tracking. I kind of use the charts as like my own log. To like, oh yeah, I took a trade right there, nice, right? So we can go and journal this stuff, right? But yeah, pivot lows. Ideally, the trade was on this candle, this trigger here, and then the break of that would necessarily be this buy. So it's not too much there. And after this this wicked out candle here, I feel pretty confident that if it this is basically testing the weekly, and wouldn't mind taking that trade. So there's a lot of confluences that say, hey, this is not too bad. You've already tested two standard deviations to the downside, and you've also tested the weekly level, and you were basically trying to buy above VWAP here. So we could be wrong, but let's have to wait and see. Right. Meta's still really reeling. This is pretty interesting for Meta here. Like I said, it broke the lows. I said with the volume and amount of selling and how aggressive it is, I wouldn't necessarily expect Meta to like just like do a normal bounce with just normal technicals. That sell off is almost indicative of people knowing something that we don't. But let me show you what I'm talking about over here. It is approaching this weekly level. You do have a whole moving average kind of going green here. Increased sellers. These guys are offsides. This could be the indication of a new rally because now you have sellers that are actually offsides. A lot of them are offsides currently. So buyers are stepping in. We haven't got necessarily a trigger on it yet. But our Q trade so far is working out. Our JP Morgan trade is going sideways. It is what it is. But these sellers right here are a trap. So I would anticipate a let's say a test of VWAP here. Now we could get a trigger here. Let me scroll this down so I can see the arrow if it actually generates. So we're not late on it for potential buy. And yeah. So as it stands right now, we're in the Qs. We're in also JP Morgan. It is kind of treading water right now. The Qs have definitely pushed away from our entry and have really pulled to the upside here. We'll drag it down just a smidge. Trying to get right there on the pipper. It doesn't want to let me. Okay. I'm going to have to settle for 1.98, guys. There we go. Okay, fine. Stop messing with it. So if it hits our 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio, we'll go ahead and pull the trade off and say good stuff. One in the bank there. Yeah, we've got this guy increased volume stepping in. So my anticipation is at least gets up to VWAP, but we're gonna go ahead and wait and follow our system. Part of this is not just about executing a trade, it's and following like red on blue. It's kind of learning yourself. Can you follow a system? And let's say you find a better system. Well, can you follow that system to be profitable, right? Can you just stick to the rules, trust in the edge, and take the trade, right? And then as you get more experience, then you could say, okay, I see how this system has a weakness in this. Well, unless you've known the ins and outs of the system, how can you necessarily say that? So right now, because we're new, we just want to follow the system. Keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. You don't have to have a whole bunch of hoopla there. With the Qs here, right, as you can see, there's a lot of volatility coming in. With it going up all the way to 2 standard deviations and then almost coming back to our entry. So there is definitely a lot of volatility right now in this market. But what we're wanting to see is a break and kind of trend sideways up at the top part of this range, maybe a little bit, and then push away. It has done that quite a bit. But if you like this, right? So as it goes up, it trends kind of sideways or trends kind of sideways here. Let me zoom in here so you guys see it. So it breaks, trends, kind of treads water a little bit, treads water, and then starts to go imbalanced to the upside. And then as it treads water some more, treads water, then there's a push, right? So that's what we're wanting to see here. As it treads water, it's slowly been grinding higher, and these pushes could take it imbalanced. My guess is it'll find some resistance up at the 500 level, if at all possible. So that's what we're hoping. But yeah, so JP slowly kind of just meandering to the downside, as you can see there. It might have actually just ran its course over the last week. That could be the reason why this rally might not be a super duper rally here. So on the 2 minute, you seeing that there's been a sell off yesterday, and then there's a nice juicy buy here, and that's kind of where we got in, is around this level. We'd say right around here. I'll put the arrow here for you guys. Basically saying, yeah, a lot of buyers did step in, but there's no follow through. There's no follow through. So it ran up to 2 standard deviations. Whole started going red and has since started pulling back. Our stop loss essentially is at pivot low. So this is the open here, but the pivot low isn't until down here. So we're going to be in this trade for probably the day, unless it decides to stop us out. And what we're going to take profit be? Our take profit be 210.62. So like the 210 area. Cool. So this way, let's say you were at work and you couldn't necessarily watch it. Well, you have alerts there to give you a heads up. You like run to the restroom or whatever, and that be your trade, right? You can see here the Q's trying to find, I guess, some support here. If they do find some support, awesome. If they kind of tread sideways, that's still good for us. Kind of staying above this level, staying above VWAP, so testing VWAP, awesome. If they sell off, we have our plan in place to take the pivot low, which is down here, if it breaks pivot low, essentially. And then kind of getting almost up to our take profit level there. Our take profit for this trade is 497.53. Cool. Ideally, that's what we'd be looking to completely take it off. So kind of got up there, didn't it? Got up there pretty high. So that's what we'd be looking for. Kind of concerning though to see all this. I guess these sellers get caught and they get squeezed on. I believe that's what happened here. A lot of sellers came in. There's a buy trigger on this candle. These sellers got squeezed on. Now let's say, for example, we entered. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you this. Let's say the difference if we had entered not late but on time. And this is another thing too. This is the reason why I like this system. In a way, it's kind of like a training wheel system, right? Let's say, for example, that we entered with the right location. Boom. There is your your stop loss take profit. That is relatively kind of what we would be looking to achieve. So not this box, but this box, right? It kind of did run its course. So it almost helps. This is why professional tools are pretty cool. Why? Because you could put schedule in hotkeys and say, hey, I want to enter the trade right here. Boom. On the break, stop out at the low. It runs its course and you get your money. And it's right there on the dime, right? Didn't get that, got a little late, and now your risk to reward is slightly off. So it's just in your trading system, just something to think about. Okay, that's why having the right tools is good. And if we can get those tools, awesome. But they cost. So, and then we'll just hold out for our trades risk to reward here. So like I was saying, it would essentially be if we were in the trade with the right risk to reward, we would get in almost at the break of this high of this candle with the pivot low. And the 2 to 1 would have been reached kind of at the 2 standard deviation level, right? Or slightly above it, which it did run its course, right? But now we're just gonna wait for our proper risk to reward to see if we can get up there. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. What else do we got going on in the world of trading? So we'll take a look at some of the other items on our trade list. We'll do it from a weekly perspective to give you guys a big picture here, um, so you guys know kind of what we're looking at and why. We'll start with some squeezes that are potentially fired off, right? So Amazon has pretty much a lot of things that are on our list from our homework last night have already they traded to highs, right? So Amazon traded to relative highs already. So this is looking for a potentially a pullback there. Meta, we're tracking that today, already pulled back to a weekly resistance level. You got the 6B breaking the rotational high, which is good, but it's done that a couple of times, so it could be just another peekaboo. So you gotta watch for that, potentially watch for that. I'm watching the Qs over here. They are they did sell off here, so we're gonna have to get out of the Qs pretty quickly. Okay. There's a bounce there. So the Qs could just be going, what is it called, rotational at from this point on, just kind of basically trading water sideways, kind of barcoding. Where the Qs in there? Nice. So it got down to our level. No, necessarily, not necessarily a break. So we'll let it run here. If it goes down there and test it again, because I was queuing up the order and then since bounced, there's a sell trigger anyway. So we'll go ahead and fire it off, let it go. We were able to save some money on that play, but there was a sell trigger there, so we went on and let it go. If it bounces, cool. If it doesn't, cool. It's just the idea that this stock is no longer in play, and it's showing that it's no longer in play. It's actually hit or stop, and there's a sell trigger. So we just let it go. It's easy day. And the cool thing about us risking small amount of capital to do that, the risk to reward is relatively low, right? So there is a shift in the long-term trend for Novo Notors. Shout out to Novo. It has since changed from a downside trigger to a upside trigger. The trend is already blue, so I'm not sure what the rule is on that. Let's see here. Yeah, the trend trigger short term was back here. So let's say you take this trade back here, your pivot low is here, there's your risk to reward, you would have hit your risk to reward, no problem. Since it's gone blue though, right? Let's go to an hour chart here and see, right? If you take this trade off of the hourly trigger, right? Essentially you'd be taking the pivot low trade, and you would need that trade to break that high here. You would need it to break the high. to even take it on the hourly chart. And that's if the, let's say, for example, the auto trend for the day is good. So let's change that. Because remember, if you're on an hourly chart now, this would need to be not an hour, but like a day to correspond to it. So it would be blue. So you couldn't necessarily take that hour trigger for Novo Nordisk, but that it would need to break the high of here for that. So we'll keep to the trading system, and we'll just say, okay, if we have an hour trade, right? And I'll actually do you one better. We'll put on for this one. I'll show you the dynamic profit levels for, there you go. All right, so let's say, for example, we put on this trade for the hour. If it breaks high, that's obviously if it breaks high here. And we probably need to put it on for the hour, right? Okay. So shout out to that. Okay. So what the dynamic profit levels are, it's just really, it's saying, hey, once you're looking for your profit, let's say at this level, right? You might not necessarily need a 2-to-1, but where is the next reasonable level of resistance for you to take your position off or take profits? So shout out to that. So yeah, if it breaks this level, we would be looking for an hour trade to get into that position. Take what the market gives us. Cool. Very, very nice. I think, I don't think this changed, did it? Okay, cool. That did not change. So, nice, nice. All right. I think everything is in order. So, the Qs actually did bounce out into the profit zone. So that's, man, that's just unfortunate. And see, the arrow went away. So with the trend change too, this is a good thing. This is why we want to be in the trenches every day. So as it came down, right, broke through our level, but then bounced through it, right? It bounced through the level. Like this is our pivot. So we were late on the trigger. It bounced through, ran stops, right? And then we did not take the stop out. But as it came back up, it showed on this candle that it wanted to be a sell. From there, we were like, okay, we'll get out, we'll exit the position. It's since bounced. So I guess with the change, with the trend indicator, you want to wait till the bar closes to confirm that, because as you can see here, yeah, it showed it, but it actually didn't maintain, and the trade is actually, kind of pushing, breaking through the selling pressure of this candle right here so far. So if it can get a lot of these sellers off sides, it can necessarily really rally the stock, potentially rally it. You've got a hourly trend change on Qualcomm as well. So that means that the hourly chart has triggered right around this level, right? So if it could break that level to the highs for the hour, then it would be kind of a very similar situation to what we saw in Novo. So we'll put an alert there, just to give us a heads up. Hey, it actually is breaking that level, and we'll know. So kind of a unfortunate stop out for the Qs. As opposed to getting a full stop out here, we were late as it bounced through. I think it was just running stops. But as it bounced through, showed a trend like it wanted to change. It didn't, and it is now currently in a profitable territory. But the lesson really today isn't like don't take your stop or whatever. The lesson really is seeing back here that getting in a position here dynamically changes your risk to reward levels. You're looking for way too much reward versus risk because we were late. So maybe it would have been way more profitable to have not taken this trade as opposed to take the trade because we got in a little late. That's really the lesson here. We took J.P. Morgan on time. It's since kind of treaded water sideways, but yeah, it was still a valid trade, and we set it up properly. Could be two losers on the day, guys. We just don't know. So yeah, this technically is still on the cues. It's still blue, and because we're late, we should have already taken our profits on the trade, been out of that trade, and not looking for more on that trade. Okay, we're gonna take a dive at let's see what Tesla's doing. So if you guys remember, a month and a half ago, we were in Tesla here and closed it here, right? But ever since that week's close, it has been a absolute bullish runner, right? Um, and shout out to the mentor. So the trend changed officially here when the 21 period moving average kind of went neutral, started to rise. We were just a tad bit early, really a tad bit early. The buy trigger for us was here, but in a very weak downtrend. And so as the trend started to shift, right, the trend becomes your friend. We were not in that trade for that, but yeah, that trade would have ended up being beautiful. What's the lesson here? The lesson here is the trend is your friend. Taking weak trigger buys necessarily, it might be a trigger to buy, but not in the most ideal environment. Whereas taking the trigger to buy here is in a more advantageous environment. Even breaking this week's high, you're getting buy triggers all throughout here. So the trend changes here, unbalanced volume is good, price action is good, and then wham, takes off, right? That's kind of what we were looking for. Didn't get it, but one thing I love about the markets is it's a place of abundance. There's always going to be new positions opening up, so I wouldn't necessarily beat yourself up if you miss a play and worry about FOMO. It's almost like, well, I got this from this book right here, One Good Trade, and I really am enjoying this book so far. He said it's almost like people beating themselves up for not winning the lottery on a ticket that they didn't buy, right? So let's say you bought, you didn't buy a lottery ticket, but you thought to buy a lottery ticket. Uh, People beating themselves up about the lottery ticket that they didn't buy. Nobody does that. Nobody thinks like that. So don't beat yourself up about it. So here's Novo. We're gonna actually take this trade for a. We're gonna open this up and actually take the Novo trade. It is breaking that level. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do NVO here, and we will take that trade here if it starts pivoting, and it'll just be for we'll trade it to the end of the week. We'll get we'll just buy a call for it for Novo Nordisk, right? Confirm and send. Outstanding. So we're now in Novo here. And to do this, we'll have to go to the hourly chart here. So yeah, it did break the level, and our risk to reward. Let me refresh this, please. Please give me a refresh. Boom. Okay. Go ahead and put it on the screen for you guys. Here's our entry. So our pivot low risk is down here on the call, and we won't take this dynamic profit level. But the next one is here. Remember, we're just looking for base. We're looking for base hits. So It's a basically an hourly 1-to-1, nothing crazy, right? If it hits our target, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. And if it hits our stop loss, awesome. We'll have it through the rest of this week. Hopefully it does good to expire, or hit our target within the next few days, because we won't be able to close it on Friday for personal reasons. So we have a weekly trade for Novo, because the hourly did fire off. So shout out to it. And you can see there, kind of the risk profile, right? Just looking to take it off at the profit level. This one's too close. We would need it to kind of go to that one there. So shout out to Novo. JP still doing his thing. The Qs still doing their thing. It is what it is. I'm glad I'm willing to follow the system too. Getting the stop out is unfortunate, but really the most important thing is getting in late. Getting in late is really what killed us, not the stop out. The getting in late is the lesson. So stop outs, they're going to happen as part of trading, but getting in late, that's a decision that we actively made, and that's a decision we actively need to learn from. Getting in on time gets you the profit and the proper risk to reward. Getting in late, you're chasing your risk to rewards off, and you have a failed trade. So just becoming better professional traders. We're not looking to make mistakes like that anymore. So shouts out to us and our lessons. So coming back here, we could say, I think we left off on, Palantir. Yeah, let's go to Palantir here and not look at the, so Palantir breaking through up to highs and then selling off a little bit is really cool right here. Let's go take a look at that here on the 10-minute. So from Friday to the over the weekend, essentially really ran up to 28.35, and then has since done sold off, but rallied slightly. Right, it's kind of a big deal. Having this massive sell, people are definitely like, if you just got paid all that amount, like if you were in down here and then you see it rally like that at the open and it pull off, you're probably going to get out a little bit, and you're like, hey, I'll wait, because I don't think it'll just keep trading upwards. There is good news though on this though, and this is kind of the reason why we got this this system. So I pulled up Palantir for you guys on our Qualcomm to show you that the fundamentals of the company are making a lot of sense, right? Price wise is up 56% on since January of this year. So basically 56%. Revenues have been increasing, so this is kind of what you want to see every single quarter. And if you go to the annual chart, revenues have been increasing, right? Really, really good stuff. Never looked up EBITDA for you guys. I might do that right now. Give me a second. What is this EBITDA stuff? What is it? Let's copy that. See, look at that. I'm showing you guys a tool here, real time. EBITDA means, what does it mean? Earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. EBITDA is a measure of core, basically profitability. Adding interest, tax, okay. Basically another profitability metrics. Company's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So how much money is it making before that? And it's got definitions, or let's go to images, see if they just give us a quick formula. Maybe. Depreciation, interest, total tax. Yeah, EBITDA formula. So yeah, this is basically how much money you're making before all of that stuff, and I guess that's going up, so that's good. So the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, that is now positive. And I heard it's kind of a big number. And so in 2023, it went positive. And if all else continues with the revenues and it continue to increase cash versus debt, its metrics overall are looking really, really, really good. Um, Ratios are increasing. It's overall just been growing. So that's kind of the insight that we want. We want to see, um, are people stepping in? Are are the fundamentals, the lifeblood, really the revenue, and not too much debt? Debt has actually been decreasing, and they have zero just standard debt. They have capital lease debt, which is like for buildings and stuff, but outside of that. So I believe, if the revenues continue to grow, they're at 2.2 billion right now. If they continue to grow, then there could be a lot of money on the table for Palantir. Yeah, so at highs, really good stuff at highs. Pulling back to, but coming again, pulling back to that weekly level, and then kind of it bounced through it, I guess. Um, but we'll see if it actually breaks it, right? But if it actually breaks it, yeah, good stuff to Palantir. And if we go to our handy dandy 10-minute chart, I mean, that's a pretty aggressive sell off there. But I think the fact really is you have it filling a gap, right? It opened up here and it closed up here. So filling the gap there, which it did, and now it's kind of trading as normal. Was there a gap? Nope. It was pretty much straightforward. So yeah, the Qs are continuing to kind of sell off there. Um, so shout out to us for kind of holding to our rules, but not shout out to us for not for getting in late. That's kind of the point. We got in late there, and we don't want to do that. But on another note, Novo is slowly grinding higher, and if you see here, the candle is saying, "Hey, buyers are stepping in. They are stepping in with increased volume to kind of push it higher." So when I see stuff like that, I'm kind of overjoyed because it's like, hey, if buyers can step in, if it gets back to that level, then they will probably defend their positions. They'll probably defend their positions. Now, if they get off sides, they'll let them go, and it'll be a catalyst to the downside. So it's like a war, man. You just if you see your side pushing to a good spot, and you rally your troops, then they can really give a push against it. So let's see. Oh, other news. Bitcoin. Let's come over here and take a quick peek at Bitcoin. So yeah, Bitcoin has. If anyone's watching Bitcoin, it's been kind of a perilous road here. Massive sell off last week for Bitcoin, um, just in a single week, and then but it's bouncing back to this previous pivot level. So buyers could potentially step in again. That is something that you could probably watch. How would I play this? So the danger here is I would wait because now the trend is no longer your friend. See, all through here, the 21 period moving average is moving up. Not until last week did the 21 period moving average get pushed to neutral. So because the 21 period moving average is getting pushed to neutral, not wouldn't necessarily look to be a buyer currently because the winds might be changing. 65 is pretty high. And so even though we added some Bitcoin here, we could average in if it pushes away for a long-term buy, but as something to trade, I would not look to purchase Bitcoin here. If you're a long-term buyer, yeah, maybe if it breaks this level, you'd look to buy, and then as it starts pulling back, really it's the opposite, right? You want to be a buyer as it pushes away from the 21 period moving average, and not want to buy as it is close to the 21 period moving average. So if you're a long-term buyer and you're looking to get a good price, this is probably the best price that you're looking to get. But if you're a trader, this isn't the best price. So the Qs, so going back, the Qs here just went trigger blue. We'll set that up. We're going to learn from our mistakes and see if we can't set up a actual trade that will actually work for the Qs this time. Let's do this. So there it is. We'll actually send it off as a market order. We want to get in now, not be late. Be late for a very important date. We are in. We'll move this guy over, get him out of the way. Cool. All right, so we're in the trade to the long side here, and we'll get a proper risk to reward. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna hit the mic here. Okay, so hopefully, yeah, I'm not sure if the mic turned off, but that was Q calling me. Sorry, guys. So yeah, as we put in to go ahead and sell again, sell puts for this one. Um, what I noticed here is increased volume on this one, and it's already turning against them, which is really good for us. Not sure if it can just rally through to rotational highs, but again, we're going to stick to the system. Stop out is below the pivot low, and we would be looking to have it go to like a 2 to 1. This says 2.7, so 2 to 1, please. Yeah. So basically, kind of peekaboo over rotational highs. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. Let's see. Yeah, SPY. If we're looking at SPY, um, there was increased volume at these levels, pushing away, and as it broke through there, um, not necessarily looking to see trade back into this rotational zone quite just yet. Um, just something to think about there, and I'll map out those zones. We've got a rotational zone there, right? So this rotational zone, it's broken that in the high, so I would be looking for it to test that as a good position to buy. If you're a good fundamentals trader and you just buy on the levels, that's a pretty solid spot, right? And it's done that a couple times. SPY has. It'll come down, test the level, push, test the level, right? This level was formed like way over there, and push out of that, test the level, push out of that. So if you're a fundamentals trader, your stops are going to be really tight, because if it tests and it breaks, well, you only have to go maybe, like, how I would do it is I like to have defined risk. So defined based off what previous price action. Let's say, for example, right here, if it comes down, I would say, okay, my risk is break of this pivot bar, right? And I'd go 2 to 1 from there. Um, Same thing here. If it breaks this, where would you want to stop? I would stop below this green candle here and go 2 to 1. That's my risk to reward. Let me map that out for you. So let's say we got in here. Boom. My stop is below that green candle, and my reward, right, might be, three, like back to pivot high or something like that, or complete the rotation, something like that, right? That gives you a nice 3.72 risk to reward. That's kind of how I would make that play if I was just doing fundamentals, right? So, but as of right now, we're just running the 2 minute system on the cues. It's looking really good, and we're hoping that this trigger will either trade sideways or slowly grind higher. I don't think the cues are in play right now, but getting that depreciation on the day would be really nice as long as it's tested this level a few times, hasn't broke to the downside. So I feel pretty confident. It's only tested this high once because it's gone up there. Now you can't. I would call this more barcoding, fair value barcoding. But if it sells here, I'm expecting it to test that high and potentially break that high. It's had like basically a triple bottom. Put in a nice resistance, triple bottom. So I would expect buyers to really try to test that high and see if price can get up there. Shout out to the Qs. And Q. We got to get Q back on the show. Like ASAP pronto. JP is slowly just grinding sideways. Not really giving us anything. No life other than that first push. It just pushed out the gate, and it was like ever since then it's been dead. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because at minimum that just means that JP, right, is a very long bear flag. So sellers aren't really stepping in to like really make a move, and to me that's indicative of okay. It's just like a wait and see game, right? We don't have to do anything with it, but our stops are still there. That pivot low is our defined risk, and as it slowly grinds lower, there could be a surge in buying. We're just waiting to see that. Yeah. So see why, like, even the play here on Meta, we saw reds coming in and it push against that larger volume. The real problem. Oh, let's Q again. A second. All right, we're back. We're back. Sorry, we're back. Not too much has changed, guys. So let's go look at some other plays. I know we've been looking at these four for a little bit because we're about to sign off here. What else we got? We've gone through most of these guys. Oh, let's go through some oil. USO in an uptrend still has already tested highs. So if you're looking, I would wait for it to kind of pull back a little bit more. Just wait for it to come pick you up. Apple, big boy Apple, obviously extreme highs, especially on a weekly. I would wait for it to pull back significantly here. We got Microsoft, same thing. Now Lilly is, man, just absolutely running to the upside. One of our biggest plays was back here in Lilly. Absolutely took a monster rocket ship. Something that we consistently trade. We love Lilly. It just has these long bouts of where it goes sideways before there's a massive rally. So seeing this, right, we missed an opportunity to take Lily, but the reality is it ain't going nowhere. So XCOM, oil, right, energy kind of getting slammed, right, or at least XCOM's getting slammed here. The trend is still, I would say the 21 period moving average is up, but the price action is below the 21. So I'm looking for a move that really moves the 21 period moving average to the downside, right? Not to kind of like what we had in Bitcoin, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's a week where the 21 moving average is up, and then now it's starting to curtail down. Well, if you get that, then it's like, okay, let's start taking sell triggers because you have a very weak uptrend or weak downtrend. Excuse me. So that's big old Boeing. Okay, so this is a development, right? Remember we were watching Boeing giving its first, I would say first real buy trigger for Boeing. Now, why would I not take this trigger immediately? Well, for two factors. One, unbalanced volume is increasing, yes, right? But more importantly, we would be looking for a long-term buy and hold for a Boeing. So I wouldn't want to get in before it breaks this like pivot high. Like I would expect it to break that pivot high, and then we get in. If we can break that, then yes, I would see, okay, this is an opportunity for us to get into Boeing. We've got just so you guys are watching, we've got a trigger on the Qs there, so we're gonna be watching that. Maybe we get stopped out again, but yeah, if Boeing can really break through that range, yeah, I could see potentially Boeing being a long-term buy. It's a good company. It has some trouble, and that's the perfect time to buy. Good companies with trouble, good time to buy. You can see here for the Qs, not necessarily giving us what we want, not giving us the ideal what we want here. So there it is. We want out, or we're getting out. Came back a little bit for us, but the stop out is about right there. So double stop on the Qs, man. Definitely not our day on the Qs for sure. Not our day on the Qs. I would say this though, a lot better entry. Gave us a proper risk to reward. We weren't late. And then JP, we are. It's not really in play currently, so just kind of mulling around. We are in Novo Nordisk to the upside here, but that is on a that's more of a multi-week kind of deal, an hourly kind of deal, I should say. So I did throw an hourly trigger, and our stop on that would be 141.37, and our take profit is like 145.27. So more of a 1-to-1 there. But the Qs have just been kind of choppy there. So the Qs could necessarily bounce, but we're not looking to trade the chop. We want some momentum. But yeah, this is all the time, guys, we have for today. So guys, thank you so very much for joining me, MC Fire, for this live trading session in the markets. Definitely stay tuned on what we got coming for the markets and our inside breakdown for some of the ETFs. That is definitely going to happen this week, as well as more live trading sessions up till around the 7:30 time frame, or at least on the West Coast. So you guys have been awesome. We appreciate your time. Have a good day, and goodbye.